Blast me to the mortal realms! It's time for the Mad Merlins Warhammer Age of Sigmar Stormbringer video review of issue 32 by Hachette Partworks and Games Workshop. Hello everyone and welcome back to another Stormbringer video. So today we're bringing you issue 32 and it includes a whopping 20 mini miniatures in the form of Moonclan Shootas. We learn a bit more about 8 points of chaos, and we have some rules for the magic lore in the game. So before we dive into the issue, don't forget to of course like the video if you are enjoying the content, and if you are, please do consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already, as it's the only way you can keep up to date with all my mad content. Finally, don't forget to check all the links in the video description down below, including the helpful Mad Merlins Patreon, where you can support the channel from various different tiers, as little as £3. And finally, drop me a comment down below. Let me know how you're getting on with your Stormbringer collection, and perhaps what issue you're looking forward to the most next. I'm still waiting, I think, for them to do a paint guide for the Iron Fanes. That's probably going to be my most excited issue. But until then, I think it's going to be one of the issues that's coming up very soon, and that is our first Sylvaneth model of the Arch Revenant, who is a beautiful model. Definitely looking forward to getting and painting him. Right, without further ado, let's dive into issue 32. Hey! It rhymes. Let's open her up and tip out all the bases, because there's a lot. So yeah, we have 25mm bases. This is a lot, I'm not going to lie, but yeah, loads and loads of bases, because we have loads and loads of models. So there's our front cover again. Like I said, we got our Moonclan Shootas. We learn about the 8 points and we start looking at the core rules for magic. And here we have the beautiful little blighters known as the Moonclan Shootas, and they can also be built as stabbers with the spears and shields there. So yeah, pretty easy to build them as either. You just have to swap out the bow arms with the sword or spear arms, depending on whether you want sword and shield or spear and shield. We also have 3 nets, so we can build up netters. Got plenty of bows, either ready with a arrow nocked or ready to take aim. Then we have the quivers in hand. So yeah, loads and loads of cool components. It's a pity we haven't got any quivers that we can glue to the backs, because that'd be pretty cool. But it is what it is. So we got loads of extra icons as well. Champion shield there, so we got different heads as well. So there's the shields there for the stabbers. Our bodies are pretty much single pieces, so you got a minimum of 2 pieces if you go for either a net or a bow drawn, but you're looking at 3 pieces if you go for a arrow and quiver in hand, and maybe a little bit more if you go for one of the totems, the champion's spear weapon there, and of course the musician. Got a couple of different banners. You got the Moonclan totem there, or else you got a proper actual battle standard sort of thing. And you got a better look here at the nets, so they look nicely detailed on the front, which is pretty cool because we're not going to see them at the back end much. But yeah, fantastic looking models. Can't wait. Well, I'm not going to be able to get around to building these guys, but I bet my friend Marcio will definitely be looking forward to putting these guys together. But yeah, we got a body without a head there, so we can make up the champion or the regular head guy. So pretty cool nonetheless. So it stands up pretty well for such an old kit. But yeah, really does give you a good lot of models, which is pretty cool. So we get 5, 6 there, another 6 there, another 6 there, and then the extra 2 there to make up the 20. So yeah, fantastic looking kit for its age. Right, let's take a look at our issue. So into issue 32 we go. So we learn a little bit more about the Gloomspite Gitz. This one we focus on clammy corners. We learn about the Varan Spire, or the home of Archaon, Lord of the 8 Points. We have our collect, build, paint and play articles for the Moonclan Shootas. We also have core rules, learning about magic, as we've mentioned on the front cover, tutorial about wizards, and our mission is Swirling Darkness. So let's start looking at the Gloomspite Gitz with the clammy corners. Grots can be found everywhere. They have infested tunnels, caverns and lost underground cities across the mortal realms. Choosing to live in the dark and clammy corners no other empire would think to inhabit. So yeah, we see the Spider Clan here, who are the forest goblins, who worship the spider gods and will often go to war on the massive arachnarok spiders. So very creepy if you are an arachnophobe, but still pretty cool nonetheless. We have, of course, the cave-dwelling moon clans who worship the bad moon. We see here a grot being taken over by fungus, and we see a shaman here with an idol of the bad moon. And yeah, and a realm gate as well. It's pretty cool. So a little bit more about them. So they have a hatred for the sun. So we see a Moonclan player here with a mask of the sun, Glareface Frazzlegit, which they call the sun. So yeah, not exactly the biggest fans of daylight. Often patrolling in forms of grot patrols. So the Moonclan grots will be often the ones setting out and adventuring. Of course, squig pens where their squigs they keep the squigs. We have the bosses, who are the sneakiest and bravest of all the grots. Got a bat mushroom, that's weird. We also have various different beasts, such as a little snail here. Many horrible creatures live within the layers of the Gloomspite Gitz. They are often companions and used as food, and are mostly taken over by fungoids. And we also have the very deepest caverns. We will find Troggoths, which we will be seeing later on in the collection. Moving on, we start taking a look at the Varan Spire. So, at the heart of the mortal realms lies the Varan Spire, a hellish fortress that towers over the vital sub-realm known as the 8 Points. So the Varan Spire is a massive fortress home to Archaon the Ever-Chosen, the Prime Lord of Chaos. So the 8 Points is where the Varan Spire is situated, and it is where the different points of chaos converge into one location. So yeah. Here we have a bit about Archaon, of course, the Ever-Chosen. He is the Grand Marshal of the Apocalypse, chosen by each of the Chaos Gods to lead their forces in the mortal realms. He rides a massive three-headed dragon with a head representing 3 of the Chaos Gods. We have a Nurgle head, a Tzeentch head, and a Khorne head. Some say he represents the Slanesh head, but we know he doesn't. The only reason he doesn't have a Slaanesh head is at the time his mount was created, Slaanesh had been imprisoned. Then we have, of course, the proving grounds. The gladiator arenas within the Varanspire are often where champions are born and enemies are slaughtered. Moving on, we have our background battle record for our Gloomspite Gitz. Stick 'em for the bad moon! Little grot quote there for you. Moonclan grots armed with bows are known as shooters. They assemble in huge, unruly hordes and use their sheer weight of numbers to overwhelm their enemies. Even the toughest foes struggle under endless hails of arrows, while those who wade through such an assault are swiftly caught by cruel nets. So we got a trait for our boss. We also gain our boss's name. We also have a little bit more here about the Moonclans themselves. And we have a unit trait, so we get the unit name. So the actual unit name will be a combination of the boss's name and their unit name. So for instance, if we had a 4, we'd have Yazgab, and a 1, Flingers. So Yazgab's Flingers. Oh, that's actually... wow. I just picked that totally at random. I did not even see that. But yeah, that's how we name our grots. And we can see them there alongside a herd of squigs. So now we got our build guide. Pretty simple. So our boss, we have a specific head, shield and weapon. Our gong basher, again we have a specific arm, 2 arms, one with the gong, one with the clanger. Then for our bad moon icon, we are using the actual proper standard version here, but you can use the twin, the larger moon icon if you so choose. But don't forget the paint guide will show you how to paint how we are built here. And then we build the rest as we want. So we can build 3 netters. So we just glue the arms to the nets on and glue the model to the base. We can build 6 with their bows ready and drawn, and 8 with their bows and quivers in hand. And yeah, that'll get us our clan grots. So moving on, we got a paint guide. So a little different to how we normally paint our oryx and grots. We're painting Avalon black all over first, then we're picking out the skin with auric flesh. Wood areas are picked out with catagen flesh. So there are, of course, the bows, the arrows, the quivers, the poles on the banner, and of course the clanger as well. Then we're using Wraithbone to pick out the fletchings on the arrows, any bits of banding, belts, icons on the banner, and of course the nets. Avalanche Sunset is used to pick out the detail on the boss's shield as well as the moon symbol on the banner. Mephiston Red to pick out a few of the mushrooms. Lead Belcher is used on a lot of the metal details, so our champion's weapon, the ends of the arrows, and the edging on the shield. Banner details, and of course any other weapons. We want to paint Lead Belcher on the gong, Corax White on a couple of the mushrooms on top of the gong, and Moonlord Brass for the moon symbol on the gong, as well as the smaller moon symbols around the models. Then we use Agrax Earthshade to shade the red mushrooms, Griff Charger Grey to shade the white mushrooms. And that's it for this guide. There we have our 20 grots. They did it quite nice. Definitely a virulent horde of green shooty badness. Moving on, we've got quite a bit of rules to cover, starting off with how to use wizards in games. So it goes over what a wizard is, how to cast a spell, miscasting a spell. So if you ever roll a 2, the spell is miscast, the spell is not cast successfully, and you suffer D3 mortal wounds. Plus, you will not be able to attempt to cast any more spells that phase. You can unbind spells, so if you have a wizard or a character with a magic ability that allows them to unbind a spell as if they were a wizard, you get a chance to stop your opponent's spells as long as you are within 30 inches of the caster. And then we have a description on how the spells work, so there are the casting values, the effect, and of course any ranges. There are also endless spells, which I don't think we'll be seeing in the magazine, but it'd be nice if we did get a special pack with one in. That'd be quite nice. We have the choice of 2 different forces facing off against the endless spell that has been cast by the opposing force. The endless spells are pretty much summoned raw energy within a realm. They often take on a particular aspect of the realm. So I believe there's a great Moor Beast, which represents the realm of Gur. There's a Vortex creature from, I think, the realm of Life. Could be mistaken. But yeah, there are various different spells. Of course, each faction has their own endless spells as well. I like the very vicious Bell of Death for the Skaven, as well as the Carpet of Rats. So yeah, you can summon an endless spell in the same way as casting a normal spell. To dispel it, you can do it at any time with a wizard or a priest. So yeah, doing a dispel roll as normally, so rolling a 2d6, and if you are greater than the value of the end spell, it is dispelled. And removing it from play, so an endless spell remains in play until it's removed. So the endless spell is either dispelled, touches the edge of the battlefield after moving, or a method of the endless spell's war scroll is used to remove it from play. So yeah, different ways you can get them removed from the board. Then we have a subtitle here for a unit of wizards. So sometimes there are units of wizards, much like the I've forgotten them now. The Stormcast, most of the Stormcast from the Sacrosanct Chamber are usually wizards, as they are all focused on magic. The Evocators are a good example of a unit of wizards, as each one is pretty much a wizard. So you can cast a spell from anyone in that unit, measuring range, line of sight, etc. And then we have a tutorial. So we got wizards. So we have a few in the collection already. We have Zarbag here. He's miscast and he takes a few mortal wounds. We see Mystic Shield being cast, improving the save of the Vindictors from the Knight Arcanum. And we got a tutorial for Arcane Bolt from the Swampcaller Shaman against Vindictors and the Praetors. Moving on, we have our Moonclan Shooter rules. So Moonclan Bow is missile weapon, and melee weapon they have slitters and barbed nets. So we have a champion, a standard, and we have a musician. We have netters and loads at arrows. Add 1 to the attack of the unit's Moonclan bows while it has 10 or more models. So this is pretty much a very old war scroll from back when Age of Sigmar was a young game. Usually they had rules that improved the unit if they had over so many models. So as we can see here, if they have over 10 models, they add 1 to their attacks. So they get more arrows the more there are. Yeah, I think a lot of these units have either gone unchanged or have changed slightly over the years. I know Skaven are ones that can have more command and musician items depending on how big the unit is. As we see here, the standard and musician can only be included for 1 in every 20. But I believe Skaven you can have 1 in every 10. That can be a musician or standard. But you can only ever have the 1 champion, of course. So yeah, the Moonclan bow has a 20-inch range, single attack, but 2 if you have a 10 or more in the unit. 4+ to hit, 5+ to wound, no rend, and only a single point of damage. The slitters, their little knives, have 1 attack, 5+ to wound, hit and wound, no rend, and only 1 damage. And the nets have a 2-inch range, 3 attacks, 4 to hit, 5 to wound, no rend, but 1 damage. And we also have netters will subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks made by enemy units while you're in 1 inch of friendly units that have netters. So yeah, pretty cool. So we got command models here. As the kit comes from the days when it would build up a command for a unit of Night Goblins for Warhammer Fantasy. We have the tutorial here for netters and loads of arrows. So yeah, ×2 on their Moonclan bow attacks, because we have more than 10 there. Moving on then, our mission for the issue is Swirling Darkness. So we have the Lord Imperator, Knight Arcanum, Lord Aquila, 5 Vigilors, Stormstrike Chariot, and 6 Gryph-hounds on the side of order. And on the side of destruction, we have a Loon Boss, Killer Boss, a Stabgot, Zarbag, a Zarbag's Gitz, 20 Moonclan Shooters, and 10 Gut Rippers. We have a lovely old artwork of the Night Goblins, and even some Forest Goblins there, back when they used to be part of the Orcs and Goblins faction. And then we got our setup for the battle, so we are still only using mats 1 and 2, as that's all we have at the moment. So we have 4 objectives, 1 in each quarter. We have an end-to-end battle. We set up take it in turns to set up primal layer scenery pieces until all 6 have been placed. Must remain 3 inches from objectives or another scenery piece. Score 1 point for controlling 1 objective, 1 point for 2 objectives, and 1 point if you control more than the opponent. At the end of each battle round, the quarter of the battlefield that matches the dice roll is shrouded in darkness. Units cannot shoot at or cast spells on units in that quarter of the battlefield. If you roll a 5 or 6, the entire battlefield is shrouded in darkness. Wow, nice little fun rule there. So yeah, pretty cool. Finally, moving on, we have a Knight Judicator. So fantastic model. Judicators were the original Stormcast missile unit who were arrow wielders. This guy is a Knight Judicator, so he's spent a lot of time on the fields of battle and has risen to the rank of Knight, and now fights on his own, but with 2 loyal Gryph-hounds protecting him. We learn about the Blades of Khorne and more on the Realm of Chaos. Then in issue 34, we get 2 new paints. So Incubi Darkness, a lovely, really dark sea green colour. We'll be using this once we get the tutorials for the Iron Veins, as they have that sort of colour on their loincloths and stuff. So definitely looking forward to that issue when we get it. But yeah, very helpful paint. There'll be I believe we use it on quite a few different things already that we have, mostly I think on Orc stuff though. But yeah, it comes in handy. And we also get the Holy Grail of paints, Nuln Oil. So what Agrax Earthshade doesn't fix, Nuln Oil often does. But Agrax Earthshade will nearly fix everything. But yeah, if you ever have the choice of owning only 2 shades, definitely Nuln Oil and Agrax Earthshade are what you need. So that's it for issue 32. I'll leave the bases. I'm not picking them up at the moment. But yeah, fantastic issue. We get a lovely loaded sprue, loads of cool little models to build and paint. Paint guide is pretty handy. And yeah, not a lot to say really. Just a rather fantastic little issue. Never had any experience of grots. They've never been a faction I've been overly interested in. But yeah, these guys would have been probably one of the factions that I would have collected if I were. But for me, I've got to say I love my rats. But there we have it. Let me know what you thought of this video down in the comment section below, and don't forget to, of course, check all the links in the video description box. So, thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time for more Stormbringer videos. Thank you, and goodbye.